Fishers of men. As Jesus was walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, called Peter, and his brother Andrew. They were casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. "Come, follow me," Jesus said, "and I'll make you fishers of men." At once they left their nets and followed him. The Bible tells us that Jesus called Peter and his brother Andrew, telling them they would become fishers of men. In reality, their profession was fishing. But how did Andrew and Peter understand the phrase fishers of men? However, there's one important point we must consider. When God called the disciples, he gave them the mission of becoming fishers of men. So when did Peter actually become a fisher of men? If we look at the final moments in the Gospel of John, Peter doesn't appear to be successful. He seems to have failed both as a disciple of Jesus and as a fisherman. In the last chapter of John, after Jesus' crucifixion, Peter, in despair, goes aboard with some of the other disciples to catch fish, but they failed to catch anything the entire night. John 21, verse 3. "I'm going out to fish." Simon Peter told them, and they said, "We'll go with you." So they went out and got into the boat, but tonight they caught nothing. 3 years ago, Peter had left his nets behind to follow the Lord, full of zeal and ambition, even considering himself the best of Jesus' disciples. But now it seems Peter has failed both as a disciple and a fisherman. At this point, Peter appears to be nothing more than a worthless stone, not the rock Jesus had initially called him. 3 years ago, Peter had abandoned everything to follow the Lord, but now it seems like he has gained nothing. After spending the night in despair with no catch, Jesus appears to him. He called out to them, "Friends, haven't you had any fish?" "No," they answered. He said, "Throw your net on the right side of the boat and you'll find some." When they did, they were unable to hold the net in because of the large number of fish. Then the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." As soon as Simon Peter heard him say, "It is the Lord," he wrapped his outer garment around him, for he had taken it off, and jumped into the water. What does this mean? Both Peter's failure to catch fish and his eventual success in catching a large number seems to demonstrate God's sovereignty. In this passage, Jesus tells the disciples, who had failed whole night, to cast their nets on the right side of the boat. Of course, the disciples didn't cast their nets exclusively on the left side whole night. It's not that there are no fish on the left side and only fish on the right side. In the Bible, the right side is not merely the opposite of the left side. It is also used to convey the idea of what is right. This is why in the Bible it says that Jesus sits at the right hand of God. There are also several verses that support this. Matthew 25, verse 33, "He will put the sheep on his right and the goats under his left." Matthew 25, verse 41, "Then he will say to those on the left, 'Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels.'" For 3 years, Peter followed Jesus, but he may have been a fisherman who continuously cast his nets on his left side. In the end, he caught not a single fish all night, which seems to symbolize that he couldn't be part of the salvation of even one person. Indeed, until this point, Peter had never become a fisher of men. Perhaps all humans in the presence of God are destined to stand on the left side, symbolizing judgment. Despite our efforts and toil, like Peter, we may not be able to find a way to move from left side to the right side. This is why we must fear when things seem so go well while standing on the left side. It might be better to catch no fish at all while standing on the left side than to catch 100 fish there. What should we do to become fishers of men? Or rather, what did the Lord teach Peter in order to make him a fisher of men? At the moment when Peter lost everything, lost Jesus, lost his job, lost his hope, lose his future. He must have realized that he was standing on the left side. At that moment, he must have also realized that he was never truly a fisher of man. He finally understood that the one who needed salvation was none other than himself. Peter, who had cursed God and cursed Jesus as he carried the cross, came to realize that he was the one who had to stand on the left side, condemned to eternal judgment. And at that moment, the Lord came to him. John 21, verse 11. Simon Peter climbed aboard and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, 153. But even with so many, the net was not torn. At the very moment when Peter recognized that he could never become a fisher of men on his own, he caught 153 fish. This seems to show that he had finally become a fisher of men. Only those who realize the urgency of salvation can live as children and instruments of the one who provides salvation.